those tributes are streaming in. We will bring them to you as we hear about them, but it is a very tragic day indeed. But I'm joined now by the Chairperson of the Standing Committee on the Auditor-General, Sakhumzi Somyo. Good evening, and thank you very much for your time, Mr. Somyo. What will be your abiding memories of Kimi Makwetu? And was the news a complete shock to you, or did you know this was coming for some time?
Well, in the first instance, let me express our condolences to Mr. Makwetu's family and the entirety of South African society for the man in service of his own country who has pulled everything at all times when required to act and to act independently to reach and be able to report on the outcomes as expected. Last Thursday, in shock, I received a very short message from him. He was expected to meet us as a committee on that day, when he said to us, Honorable Chair, could you please accept my apologies? My doctors have instructed me to take a rest, and therefore I won't be able to make it in the meeting. We planned to have some sort of a legacy-related session as he was on his way out, knowingly at the end of this month for the new Auditor-General to take the form of a new service in that office. He has been a man who has been very professional in his work. As you have seen in the last days of his life, where he produced a report as required by the country when we're experiencing COVID-19 and expenditure at the time, which was a bit questionable. He took his office in a very professional way, and they produced a first installment of the report of his audit, and it was seemingly to report for the last time to the nation, where he discovered a number of areas where he emphasized accountability from the public office for what they have received in terms of the public accounts. He has been the man at service at all times, as I've said earlier on, as he has left us as a man with his boots. On that day, he was addressing his provincial office, as he has done on several provinces, where he would share his last moments in office. He was from Mpumalanga and destined to come to Parliament to have that meeting with ourselves.
You've indicated...
We are very much shocked by the news of his passing, shocked as we are. We need to celebrate the life in full of a man who have not only served South Africa in its own shores. He has went beyond to represent us and represented us proudly, even in the offices of the United Nations. He has held high in service to ensure that South Africa deepens its own democracy, deepens accountability, deepens the service of our own people, and accounts for each and every cent in the public fiscus. Mr. Makwetu leaves the office, leaves us so humbled by his own contribution. Was so proud that he stood at service up until his last breath.
Mr. Somyo, you mentioned there that he was very professional, and I think a lot of us have witnessed that. He was clear, he was passionate about his work, not a man of too many words, but from the interviews that I remember with him, Sally, he would often crack some jokes. What are your memories of him as the committee on the Auditor-General?
He was indeed a very serious man, but at the same time, indeed, he was human. He would move us in his reports, and he would be very practical in outlining his own experiences. And the practicality that he would raise, you would learn from it that this is a rural man, as he would highlight his own experiences coming from Tofimvaba in the Eastern Cape, making those exemplary learnings that he has earned the ability to take charge of such a huge office, to ensure that each and everyone who is involved with the public purse remains accountable for such receipt and expense. Is a humility, is something that we have learned, that in such a high office, you would serve and earn more in terms of trust to your own ability to show respect to those you audit at times. One of the key areas that has somewhat hammered on us in the public life has been the level of ensuring that we remain accountable at all times.
Thank you so much for your time. Mr. Sakhumzi Somyo is the chairperson of the Standing Committee on the Auditor-General. This is a committee that constantly, sat down with the Auditor-General, and what an incredible tribute.
Absolutely.